What up? This is Caslin, and this is your podcast, Always Acting Up. This is a podcast where I will be sharing all of my personal journeys and stories as an actress in the entertainment industry. This episode is my very first one, so it's just going to be a quick little bio, an intro, some fun, good stuff. But before we get into all that, I do want to give a shout out for all you guys who are going to be following me on my podcast, YouTube channel, Instagram, because y'all know I need some new followers. This is 2020. And of course, I do want to give a special shout out to the person who will be helping me. And that person is Hassani Johnson. So thank you, Hassani Johnson, for letting me use your equipment. Yes. So as I mentioned before, this is my very first podcast, so I have to admit I'm a little nervous, so be nice. And I just want to give like a super brief introduction of like, wow, girl, who the hell are you? So basically, I'm an actress, former dancer, former gymnast, and this is going to be about my journeys from beginning as an actress, like just moving to California from Texas, my transition, my injury from my back, which kind of stopped me from dancing, going into acting full-time, photography, as well as kind of my location and stories. I have a lot of crazy stories. I have a lot of horror stories. I have a lot of victories, a lot of wins, and sometimes you just forget them. And if it weren't for things like Instagram or Facebook that will remind you, popping up those memory pictures, sometimes you just forget about it. And that's kind of what happened with this, is that I was nominated on Instagram to do one of those performer artist challenges, and by multiple people. And I usually just don't do things like that. Like I'm not a trendy person. Like I'm just not cool. I can't follow the trends. Most of the time I have a little bit of an attitude about them. I think they're silly. But I was nominated for like the third or fourth time to do this performer artist challenge. And what it is every single day, or, whatever it is, each post needs to be about a project that you worked on, or something productive pertaining to your career as an artist. And so I thought about it. I was like, you know what? This is Instagram. It's a social media network. Show your shit. And that kind of began my little browsing through all my old history and folders. And I had to come up with different projects that I had worked on in the past. And it was funny because it really got me thinking like, wow, you've been doing this for, let's say, about a decade now, starting as a dancer and then going into acting. I've been doing this for a long time, and there's all like those little jobs in between that I just kept forgetting. So I figured like, all right, let's start this challenge from the very, very beginning. And I started with, it was actually my second headshot. I was going to start with my very first headshot session, but honestly, like those pictures were so old and so bad, I actually couldn't even find them. And then I started posting, some of my dance content on the artist challenge and some of my acting stuff. And then I eventually got to post number 7. But this post was from the cover art for my old blog that I used to do called Dancetress Acting Up. And that kind of like struck this nerve with me. And it sort of just reminded me that, wow, like I used to create my own content all the time. I used to do so much stuff. I used to have this blog every single week, and it was hosted on my friend Darwin. What up, Darwin? Darweezy, you know who you are. And he had a website called First Class Reels, and he sort of invited me, this unknown actress, to just sort of write about my journeys and my stories as an actress and dancer. And that really made me think, like, wow, like, why don't I do that anymore? Like, it took a lot of work and it took a lot of time, but it was really nice to sort of think about that I used to have this blog that would document everything. And instead of just having this Instagram contest or challenge where I post only 10 pictures, why don't I start this blog up again? Because there's so much that has happened in like the past 5 years that I wish would have been documented. Like stories that I just want to tell younger actors, goodness, who are just now starting their career. Like if you learn a couple of things listening to this podcast, then that's great. If you don't, that's great too. But goodness, there's some stories that I really wish I would have heard when I started. So hopefully by listening to my stories and my journeys, you guys will get a little bit of something out of this. But yeah, so this challenge really got me thinking about all the things that I've accomplished. And I figured that I would like to have those sort of as like a video memory diary journey sort of thing. And that's what I'm going to do. We will be dropping one podcast every 2 weeks. So yeah, bi-monthly. That's the goal anyways. Yeah, I had to put that little, I don't know, samba dance sort of belly dancing music in there because yes, I am a former dancer. But I was mentioning just briefly that I used to create my own content all the time. Like I had a web series called 12 Teen, which that is definitely something I want to talk about because I recently watched another show on Hulu and I was like, oh my God, that's the same concept as my show. We'll talk about that another time. But I had my web series, I had short films, I did music videos, I did parody. And I keep thinking to myself, like, gosh, dang it. Like, why didn't I keep going? Like, had I kept going, I probably could have had like, I don't know, like thousands and thousands of viewers and subscribers at this point. But you know what, to be honest, one of the reasons I did stop creating my own content was because I was spending so much time editing and writing and filming, and then I would get like 20 views or 50 views or something like that. And that's fine. Like I know some of the things I was creating was not for everybody, but like I would go and post it on my Facebook or whatever, and I would get a couple private messages. Hey, it's you're kind of like spamming my page. Can you stop? And I started feeling very unsupported. I felt kind of like, I'm going to use this word a lot, and I'm really going to try not to, but I felt like I was starting to waste my time because I was apparently spamming people. Nobody actually wanted to watch. And I was spending hours working on these projects. And, you know, like for an example, my web series 12 Teen, it's like only 2 to 3 minute episodes, but all the extra little words and small little pictures, like little inserts in my video, y'all, that would take like sometimes 5 to 6 hours just editing one of those 2-minute videos. I mean, I think they're hilarious, to be honest, but I know, like I said, it's not for everybody, but it would take so long and I would get like no views. And then I did a couple projects with a little bit of a bigger production, a better camera, and I had a little bit of a crew. And while I was editing it, I was like, wait a second, I'm a sidekick in my own videos. That's not what I was creating all these projects for. I wasn't creating these projects so I can become a filmmaker. I know. I mean, I have a general idea. I'm not a filmmaker, but I have an idea of what y'all do, and it's a lot of work. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with learning a little bit behind the scenes, but it wasn't the whole reason why I was creating my projects. Look, I'm selfish, okay? So that's basically what we're going to talk about in my podcast. So stay tuned. You're going to hear personal stories, journeys, things that I've thought about, I don't know, regardless of the business, people, different markets, etc., etc., etc. So feel free, if you guys have any questions or maybe we're wondering if I've had a similar experience, definitely reach out because the chances are that I have, and I mostly don't have a problem talking about it. I won't ever call anyone's names because I think that's not okay. I'll be as vague as possible. But yeah, I would love to talk and share my stories and my journeys. So that brings me to the final of this intro episode. We're going to play a little bit of music for the moment of positivity. So yes, I want to finish every single episode with a moment of positivity. Life is hard, y'all. It is hard. And sometimes you got yourself, you got your environment, you got everything just knocking you down, and you just have to remember to keep going. So my little quote for the day is going to be just a quick reminder that there is No better time than the present. Hang on one sec. Yeah, I know. I'm giving myself a pat on the back for doing this. Yeah, there's no better time than the present. Think about all those projects that you've been wanting to do, and you're like, well, I'll do them when I buy this, or when I lose 5 pounds, or whatever the crazy case may be. There's never gonna be a perfect time. So you might as well just start, get it done, and learn from there. And I actually have to kind of look in the mirror while I say that, because I was actually struggling myself with not quite the motivation. Yeah, okay, I guess it was the motivation to start doing this podcast myself, because I really felt discouraged before. And then when I moved from California to Las Vegas, I lost my creative juices. It's almost like I left the environments like Los Angeles, where everyone's constantly creating, constantly talking about things, and it was gone for me. And it's so strange. And I don't know if it was just that I was always around creative people, so that my juices and my inspiration was always going. But I moved here and it was like, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I want to do this eventually. Yeah, I'm going to. So I don't even know what it was. But finally, it was it's time to stop talking about how you want to do it and do it. So thank you guys for nominating me on the Instagram Performer Artist Challenge. That definitely kicked my butt into gear and reminded me, just do it. So thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and feel free to leave a comment as well. And also, yeah, leave those suggestions of things you want me to chat about, because I already have a list of ideas, but anything in particular, I would love to hear what you guys would like to hear and talk about. So that is, follow me on, YouTube, my podcast. Let's chill on the Instagram. That's at Caslin Rose. I'm going to spell that for y'all. C-A-S as in Sam, L-I-N, Rose. And thank you guys for watching. You guys have a grand, fantastic, bombtastic, sorry, I'm nerdy, day. Cool. So I hope that wasn't too mumbled jumbled. I wanted to keep this one super short and sweet for my very first episode. Yeah, stay tuned. I'll be having more in the future.